So this message goes to all the South Sudanese footballers, wherever you are in the world, and especially back home in South Sudan. The other day, I saw an article on LinkedIn that says that the Nigerians are evading European football, and throughout the article, you're going to see how most of them are being brought to Europe from the academies, and then they make a name. And I came to think about it. I was like, why are we South Sudanese not doing the same? You guys are actually very talented, but most of you guys are sleeping on yourself a lot, a lot. Like right now, I'm with my friends every time and they're asking me, Sunny, who's the best player in South Sudan? And I can't even think of anybody off my head or the big name off my head. Highest, I ended up saying, oh, we have one academic kid that's going to be the future of South Sudan. But why are we actually sleeping on ourselves? You guys have all the potential. You guys have everything it takes to succeed. You guys are resilient, and outside here, most of the times, all it needs is somebody being resilient. I see a lot of you guys, they're trying to look for handouts, but it's not going to work like that. Yes, try to find connections. There's social media that is a fishing ground for all the things that you need to kickstart your careers. The opportunities are there, the agents are there, the scouts are there, and every tool that you need for you to succeed. You see, when was the last time a player has been scouted while playing for the national team directly? When was the last time a player was scouted while playing in the Juba local league to go play in another country? It's almost non-existent. It does not happen. And why is that so? It's because most of you guys are always afraid to try to take a move. You guys want somebody to deliver a contract right at your doorsteps. And even when that happens, some of you guys that get a chance to go out, you don't want to last long. You end up coming back, you know. And you see, during the under-20 AFCON, we did very well. I think we went up to the quarterfinals, and in the SECAFA also tournament, we went up to the finals, I think. And all these are tournaments for people to know what we have as South Sudanese, you know. You see that in West Africa, every time there's COSAFA or there is an AFCON tournament, immediately the tournament ends, you're hearing that, oh, XYZ from the under-20 tournament has been signed to Barcelona, Real Madrid, this and that. And why are we not doing that, we South Sudanese? Is it that we don't have the talent? Absolutely not. We have the talent. But you guys are trying to play the blame game. You have too many excuses that are filled up in your head. You guys are saying the federation is not doing enough. XYZ is not doing enough. What about you? What have you done for yourself? What steps have you taken as an individual to actually kickstart your career? You know, why do you have to point fingers at somebody? How about you kickstart something and then see if you're gonna have people backing you or not? If your fellow South Sudanese do not even back you on the way, you're gonna have strangers doing that. You see, and again, with the South Sudanese people that have the finances, it's not about buying the V8. Yes, I'm not about to tell you what to do with your money, but can we actually invest in our footballers? You see, a lot of these West African guys, what somebody does is you don't even need to own a football club. All they do is own an academy or create an academy, finance an academy, recruit boys, and then they start to bring scouts. If you cannot bring your player directly to Europe, what you do is make contacts with people here in Europe and then invite them over, pay for their flights. These are scouts or agents, pay for their flights, pay for their accommodation, and organize a tournament where these people are going to watch your players. And once they see 1 or 2 or 3 of your players, they're going to bring them over to Europe, and it's going to be way easier when a scout has gone down there and he has seen a player that they like, and then they bring him over here. You know, that's the easiest way. You guys can actually make lots of money. And what these guys are doing is they don't sell the players directly. So the first contract they do is get a player, they send him on to Europe. First is always loan, and then once that player goes through the development phase and there's some improvement, then now he returns home, and then a transfer is being made. It's either a transfer where you get something or a transfer on the future sales, you see. And you have to make money like that. You don't need to own Qatar FC, Atlabara FC for you to sell your players. Even if you're the owner of Atlabara FC or Qatar, you can get one of the promising youngsters, send him out on loan to, let's say, Sweden, and let him go there for 1 season on loan, And if all goes well, then the transfer is made permanent. If it doesn't work for him, he comes back home and then he regroups again. And that's how we're gonna have to be competitive in the region. And this actually, it's very common. It's a very common thing with the East Africans. We barely have players that are sounding outside there in the big leagues. You see, we really don't have that. But the West Africans, the North Africans, and the Southern Africans, they're doing that very great. At least Kenyans, they're trying. They usually find the easiest way is they go to Sweden and they play there. Kenyans have players outside Tanzania, but Ugandan and South Sudan, not really. So why are we not doing that? We have also relatives that are outside. A relative could sponsor one person, a player, and he goes out there and he does something good. And that's how the next person comes up and the next person is being lifted and the other person is being lifted, and before you know, we have a national team that is full of internationals, because clearly we're not going to compete with South Africa, in Morocco, in Nigeria, Ghana, that has like the first 11 is playing in the top 3 leagues in the world, while you're using local based players. You know, you have no chance against these guys, and that's just the reality of it, you know. But I'll tell you, most of those guys that leave those countries to go to Europe from those countries, from this other part of the world, they didn't go as good players. They went there and learned. Victor Osimhen, when he went to when he came to Germany to the team that he was going to play with, first thing first, he was there, and then they were like, yeah, he wasn't good enough. So his agent has made connections with the club. I think that was Wolfsburg. And he was like, okay, can he be training for a while? And they said, fine. So during the training period, he actually started killing it. And then the captain went to the management and they're like, hey man, this guy is actually doing good. How about we register him? And he got registered, you know. You don't have to be good to be outside here. You come outside here. Once they throw you in the deep waters, you gotta find a way to survive. You're gonna have to swim, you know. But most of us are not doing that. Scouts are not coming to South Sudan. Agents are not even looking in that market. Why? Because who are they looking at? When they go to Ghana, they want to look for the next Asamoah Gyan. They are looking for the next Suleiman Tari. They are looking for the next Kamal Dean. They go to Nigeria. They are looking for the next Osimhen, the next Wilfred Ndidi. You see? But in South Sudan, who are you looking at? It's like we don't even play football. But we do actually. We do play football. You see? So we need to actually like stop sleeping on ourselves. We have all it takes to be successful out there. And if you see this message, send it to your brother or to whoever that has the resources to be able to create opportunities for people. Otherwise, we sleep on ourselves too much, and it's going to take us generations and generations before we actually have a star. You know, we actually, the only people that are playing in the national team right now that are actually like playing in very good leagues or distant leagues are almost aging. They're almost 30. That's Valentino and Okello, and who else? Yeah, those are the two. Valentino, I think, is about 30 years, and I'm not saying this too, but I'm just worried for the future of our country. What's going to happen if Valentino is not there tomorrow? If Tito Okello is not there tomorrow, who's going to take over from there? You know, at least that people will look up and be like, yeah, they're actually playing somewhere decent. You know, so, and again, to you people, the people with the finances, the people that the agents, the agency thing is not very, I don't think it's very expensive, about 500 or 300 monthly subscription after you pass the exams, of course. But you need to understand that having a license is not going to be enough for you. You need to buy tickets, go travel, go shake hands with sporting directors, go have a coffee with people. And that's how you build your connection. Otherwise, having a license and you just sit it back, you're not going to like get anywhere. You know, nobody's going to give you actually a chance on the phone, especially if you've not actually ever presented anybody that made strides for you. So it's your first players that you put into clubs. That is going to be your first market niche. So you of course you cannot be all over the world, but you gotta pick like a certain market for you to specialize in. And we South Sudanese, we can say mostly we can try English speaking countries like Denmark is English speaking country, Finland, what are they English speaking countries? Sweden is English speaking as well. So we try to, let's say Scandinavia generally. Scandinavia actually would favor South Sudanese, you know, because they speak English there. And so once we get down there, besides the cold, But obviously those are things I say you have to like find a way to survive. But once we get down there, we should be able to actually make things happen. Let's have that as a market niche, or find some other market niche, so that when you take one player there, he makes a good season, he makes a good name. The people within that country from that place are gonna try to go back to find the next person from there, the next superstar. That because now one person has already made a name that is sounding, that's what's gonna happen to that's what the clubs are going to back on, saying maybe we can go find another person like this. And before you know, we have 6 players, 7 players in this thing. We don't need to actually have 5 like we don't even need to be playing in the top 5 leagues in Europe. We can start somewhere low, and then slowly we start to get there. From generation to generation, we start to get closer and closer and closer to the big leagues. Of course, because there's in England, it's actually, let me just say, it's impossible for a South Sudanese to play in England. Why? Because of the regulations. First of all, your country, the FIFA rankings has to be below 60, I think, and we are right now 160 something. So we're actually way off limits. You can be the best, like we say, Lazarus is like the best player right now in South Sudan, at least in my opinion. But Lazarus cannot play in Manchester. Why? Because he's not elite. His points are not eligible for him to play there. But the other leagues he can play in, let's say Spain. The regulations are not very complex like that, you know. So that's what we should be looking at. Otherwise, our national team is gonna take us. We're gonna keep shouting. We're a young nation. We're coming up. We're this. It's gonna take forever before we grow.